We're really glad to be here today. Brad told me that our competition was going to be another session on coma, and I thought, well, we can hold our own against that. Who wants to go hear about the open meetings law? But then he said the other one was grant writing and getting more funds from grants. So I don't know. I'm really glad that all of you came in here to see us. I'm Jim Correll. I'm the facilitator and business coach of the Successful Entrepreneur Program at Independence Community College. I always like to use this slide because I like to emphasize to our students and our people in our incubation program that you need to distinguish yourself among your competition like this golden egg is above all the other eggs. And I thought that we would talk about incubation today, and it was in conjunction with this grant that we got. Incubation can be done even if you don't get a big grant like we were fortunate enough to get. And I thought we would talk about it in terms of some what I think are myths of incubation. And then after we talk about the top 10 myths of incubation, we will I'll talk a little bit more about the nonprofit that we created to do incubation and independence. Myth number one is that incubation and related financial incentives are the primary reason for the client's success. This is kind of the impression that we get as we see information about incubation, but what we found, and we're starting to have validated by our clients, is that it's the mentoring and coaching that are the most valuable things. It's not necessarily the rent. It is nice to get a break on rent for the first year or two, but that break on rent for most businesses is not going to make or break the business. It's really the mentoring and coaching that's going to really help make the business successful. And we like to talk about emphasizing four main areas in our mentoring and coaching. And one is the entrepreneurial mindset, which is kind of changing our thinking to always be looking for opportunities and challenges in the marketplace that we can go in and fulfill. And many times we have to learn to do it with limited resources. So part of the entrepreneurial mindset is learning to do extraordinary things with limited resources, especially in regard to providing goods and services to our customers. The second thing we emphasize is innovation, and innovation both in developing new products and services and also in developing better ways to provide excellent customer service has to be an integral part of the business model, and so we make that one of our primary areas of focus. The third is servant leadership, and we like to talk about using servant leadership with regard to employees and making their way to success our primary focus in removing barriers that might be in their way, and assuming that they want to do the best they can if we just get the barriers out of the way and let them do their jobs. But another way that I want to start thinking of servant leadership is that we like to think of emphasizing service to the customer as the primary goal and let the profit and the business growth and success take care of itself. And finally, the fourth major area that we emphasize is building a character culture. And this is the idea that if we learn to hire and reward our employees as much based on character traits as we try to do it on technical skills, that we'll have a better workforce and we'll have lower turnover. And this is emphasized by the fact that we tend to hire people based on their technical skills, but it's almost always a character problem as the reason that we let them go. And then finally, I put in here that we also add in the technical skills as needed, but you'll see the technical skills, business planning, and financial help and that kind of thing come secondary. We fill them in as needed after we've emphasized those four major areas. Myth number two is that incubation requires special buildings designated as incubators. And that's the most common way that we hear about this. But we say that that's okay if you happen to have one or can get one or more, but we also encourage you to work with property owners so that the clients can be located in the best location available. So we try to work with local property owners all over town, so that we have a selection, a list of properties to choose from, so that when we have clients that are ready to move into a building, they don't just have one building designated as an incubator to choose from. They also have other properties located. And we think that getting the client in the best location for their business model is very important to their success. Myth number 3 is that clients should move out after a predetermined amount of time to make room for others. I've always thought this was a mistake, especially in respect to retail businesses. So we really believe that clients should only move if they outgrow their space or otherwise need to move for their own reasons. So we'd like to see our clients get set up in a location. If the building we have designated as an incubator gets full, then that's fine. We'll either go find another one or just continue to work with building owners to have a good selection of places to incubate the businesses. Myth number 4 is that you should set a high quantitative goal of success. And what we found is that we want to make individual success the objective and then let the quantities take care of themselves. This is going to be kind of an organic process. Starting a business is a life-changing experience for most people. So the idea that we would try to set some quantitative goal just didn't make any sense to us. So we emphasize individual success, and then we hope the numbers will take care of themselves. Myth number 5 is that retail businesses can't be incubated. And I would agree with this if you're going to try to put them all in one building. And many times I go to meetings where community colleges are doing incubation on some building they have on campus. And it's not really in a good retail location. So yes, they'll say that retail businesses can't be incubated. But we say it depends on where it's located. And if you can work with property owners, or you happen to have a building that's in a good retail area, then I think you can incubate retail businesses if the traffic pattern will support their business model. Myth number 6 is that mall locations are good for incubation. And I think this is also kind of a common conception, and I think it depends on the business type. Retail may not be ideal in a mall location. In the building we have in Independence, it kind of works for part of it, at least, because there's one long hallway that goes through the north side of the building, and we have the coffee shop restaurant on one end, and we have the restrooms on the other end of the hallway, and then the exterior doors empty out into a public parking lot. So that hallway gets a lot of traffic, and the retail business that's in the middle gets pretty good exposure. It's a little harder to get traffic down the other hallway on the south side, and we have a computer repair guy in that corner, and he has an extra challenge to get people down there. So many people find out about him and come to him, come looking for him, so those work all right, but there's not very many people that just stumble by his place by accident. Myth number 7 is that clients should have a fully developed business plan and adequate financing before opening. What we found on this is that some won't have either, and they are going to open up anyway, so we decided we might as well mentor them. If we turn them away and don't mentor them, then we run the risk that there'll be a public perception that we don't really want to help people. And as I said, if they're going to open up anyway, we might as well help them and see if we can help them be successful. Myth number 8 is that a committee should determine the viability of a new business idea, how it will work in a certain area, and if a competitor is too close. And what we really think about that is that we're not very good at determining what kinds of businesses will work. Sometimes you can kind of tell, but then sometimes you can have a business idea that you don't think will work, but the entrepreneur is driven in such a way that they can make it work, and we can't always tell which entrepreneurs will really be driven and which ones won't. So we don't think that's really a good idea, and there really is no practical or political way to thwart competition. So if you have a competitor down the street, we think that if anything, another business that does similar work in the area will raise the level of service of both businesses and provide a chance for success for both of them. Myth number 9 is that only new businesses should be incubated. And we discovered something that, since our primary benefit is mentoring, when people realize that they need to reinvent their businesses, we think we might as well incubate them and mentor them. So reinventing a business is almost like creating a new business. And so we don't really distinguish too much between a new business and a reinvented business. Myth number 10 is that incubation will take considerable funding to get started. In our case, the community college was willing to let me spend some of my time working on this, so we don't really have a lot of operating expenses in the way that we do this, and we use volunteer mentors that we take from the community. So as long as we're willing to start out and grow slowly without owning buildings, we can do that, as long as there's somebody that can put a little bit of work into it. So I think what I'd like to emphasize is that we have flexibility in helping new and growing and reinventing businesses. We're community-based, not-for-profit corporation, and we wanted to do that in a way that would allow us incubation without limitation for businesses of all types.